What's up, everybody, and welcome back to 10WT Friday, where every week we teach you how to form the healthy habits that will transform your body and your life. In order to transform, you have to start with your why. Then you set your goal, identify your weekly behaviors that will get you to your goal, track your progress on a scoreboard, and set micro habits each week that set you up for success. If you do these steps, your habits will be rock solid, your self-confidence will grow, and you'll be on the path closer to your best you. Every single week, we help health-conscious people just like yourself optimize their potential. And I'm your host, Nick Carrier. And today, I'm super excited to talk about something that everybody's going to be interested in, probably. And that's 4 steps to build muscle and lose body fat at the same time. The goal of the Best You podcast is to allow you to feel confident about what you need to do, why you need to do it, and how to do it in order to get closer and closer to your best you. I think a lot of people have always had this thought process that you can't do both simultaneously. A lot of, at least bodybuilders, go through these cycles of I'm in a building phase or I'm in a cutting phase. I'm in a building phase or I'm in a cutting phase. I'm in a gaining phase or I'm a losing phase. And so a lot of people don't realize it can happen simultaneously. And I think no matter who you are, this should really be your goal, because this is the goal to ultimate health, feeling good, longevity, body composition, whatever your goal is. Building muscle and losing body fat has some role in it. You know, unless you're a just ultimate power lifter and you might have a little bit more body fat than somebody else, then this might not be your goal. But for most of you, I'm sure you would like to both build a little bit of muscle mass and lose some body fat simultaneously. And today we're going to talk about 4 different ways to do this. Or 4 different steps in order to do this. There's not just one specific way to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. But after coaching hundreds and hundreds of people now through the 10-week transformation in particular, and thousands more with other training platforms, I know that these 4 are going to work. And having it worked for myself as well. These 4 are going to work. So step number 1 is to have strength training days and then cardio days. Now, you can combine them in the same workout. However, if you really want to work on building muscle, then if you do cardio at the same time that you do strength training, usually your strength training might take a little bit of a hit and you might not be able to produce the same output. You might not be able to lift as heavy. You might not be able to go as long, and you might not be able to get in as many reps. And so if you separate the strength training days and the cardio days, the strength training days, you're going to be building muscle optimally. And then what helps when you build muscle optimally is your overall metabolic rate is going to slowly, not quickly, but slowly get a little bit faster and faster, because the more muscle mass that you have, the more your metabolism is going, the more you're going to burn calories at a state of rest. And so if you want to optimize burning calories at a state of rest, you need to make sure you optimize your ability to build muscle. And then with cardio days, obviously cardio is great with burning body fat now. And if you have your heart rate at a specific level and at a high level, then you're going to be kicking your body in what's called the afterburn effect, or EPOC, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, where your body is kind of on overdrive and burning calories at a little bit more rapid rate. But again, that only lasts so long. And so cardio is kind of like burning fat now and maybe burning a little bit of fat later on, which is what we want to do. But then strength training is long-term thinking. Strength training is I need to build muscle so that long-term my metabolic rate stays higher. So cardio is great for burning fat now, but strength training is great for continuing to burn fat while you're at a state of rest. Think about it. That's why guys lose weight easier than girls, generally speaking, because they have a higher level of muscle mass. And so they're going to burn more calories at a state of rest than traditionally most females. So strength training days to optimize your muscle growth, and cardio days to optimize your fat burning in the moment. Number 2, for your strength training days, I would definitely recommend 1 lower body focus day. I definitely recommend 1 upper body focus day. And then after that, it's going to be customized and based off of what your goals are. Now I'm going to get to that customization and based off of your goals here in a second. But with a lower body day and an upper body day, I would very much recommend that you have one major lift in each, at least one major lift in each with the big muscle groups. So if you're doing a lower body day, something like squats, something like deadlifts, something like hip thrusts are going to be some of the biggest muscle groups where you're hitting quads, where you're hitting glutes, where you're hitting hamstrings. And what happens when you're hitting those biggest muscle groups is it requires the most from your body so that one, you're actually burning more calories in the moment, but two, you're breaking down the biggest muscles in your body. And so what happens when you break down the biggest muscles in your body, those biggest muscle groups in your body have to rebuild. And when your biggest muscle groups in your body have to rebuild, that triggers a greater metabolic effect on your body. And so you're burning more calories later on as well. And if the bigger muscle groups become bigger, then when your body's at a state of rest, then those bigger muscle groups will have a bigger metabolic effect as well. And so that's why training heavy with big muscle groups is super key, and actually both building muscle, which all of you guys know, but it's also huge and burning fat as well. That's why, honestly, so many females struggle to burn fat is because they don't think about doing the big, heavy lifts enough. And when you don't do the big, heavy lifts enough, you're not going to be building the strength and building the muscle necessary to burn fat at a state of rest. And so you're just going to be stuck doing cardio. But what happens is if you ever stop doing cardio, then your metabolic rate's going to be low because you have no muscle, right? And so if you don't change your eating habits when you stop doing cardio, that's going to lead to fat gain. So have a lower body day where you have a major lift, something like squats, deadlifts, hip bridges, and then an upper body day where you also have a major lift, something like a bent over row with a barbell or some dumbbells, something like pull-ups, something like a bench press, whether that's a barbell or dumbbells. Major muscle groups, big muscle groups, chest, back. Obviously, you can do the other muscle groups as well, the smaller muscle groups, but you want to make sure that you have the big muscle groups in there as well. Now, after that, you can customize based on your goals. Some people think a push day and a pull day are really good to have, so that could be something that you add in there. Sometimes people mix full body moves in, and full body moves can be great for burning fat as well. And so I would say if you're working out 3 days a week, to do a lower body day, an upper body day, and a full body day. If you're working out 4 days a week, you could maybe do a lower body, an upper body, another lower and an upper. You can do a lower and upper, a push, a pull. You could do a lower and upper, a full body day, and a full body day. Whatever kind of you think works best for you and you enjoy the most. And also a big thing is you don't want your body to be too sore going into a lifting day. And so you want to kind of make sure that if you're lifting legs on one day, that you wait to lift legs again, maybe 2 days later or 3 or 4 days later, so that you can really optimize your lifts and optimize your rep counts and things of that nature. And so step number 2 was have a lower body day and an upper body day at least with a major lift mixed in there. Number 3 to build muscle and lose body fat at the same time is protein optimization. Now, there's a lot that goes into this. I'm not going to dive too deeply into it, but when I say protein optimization, I mean the combination of quality and quantity. Most people only think quantity because that's the easiest thing to measure, but you also want to have a high-quality protein. When I think high-quality protein, I think animal sources like grass-fed beef, grass-fed ground beef. I think pasture-raised organic chicken. I think pasture-raised eggs. I think ground turkey. I think wild-caught salmon and other healthy fatty fish. From a plant source side of things, I think black beans, if you're not gut sensitive to that. I think things like quinoa. I think things like lentils. I think nuts and seeds. I think edamame. Those are some great protein sources from both an animal and a plant protein standpoint. So that's quality. And then quantity, I've recently come up with, and this isn't something that's new in the general scheme of things, but a new formula that I've been helping my clients with is when it comes to protein optimization on a daily basis, I would like for you guys to do this calculation for yourself. So if literally pull out a calculator and do this calculation for yourself so you know what range of protein you should be in on a daily basis. Take your body weight and multiply that by 0.36. Now, where do I get that number? The RDA, the recommended daily dietary allowance, says that the minimum amount of protein that you should have is 0.36 grams based off of your body weight in pounds. And so for me, if I do my body weight, which is about 170 times 0.36, that's about 61 grams of protein. Bare minimum that I should be having on a daily basis. Now, that recommendation is based off of a number that's trying to not allow you to get sick. So it's like, you need to have this much in order to function. So that's not optimal function. That's not looking for muscle growth. If your goal is muscle growth, you need to be upwards of your body weight times 0.45. And then whatever that number is, that's grams of protein. So for me, I think if I remember the calculation correctly, it's 170 times 0.45 is about 76 grams of protein for me. And I would honestly say maybe even a little bit more. So if your goal is to definitely build muscle, think, okay, closer to that body weight times 0.45 and maybe even a little bit more on a daily basis. So those are a couple of recommendations for quality and quantity of your protein intake. And number 4, to both build muscle and lose body fat at the same time, is do a little bit of, quote, carb cycling, in the sense that you can afford more carbohydrates, healthy carbohydrates, on your heavy strength training days. It's things like sweet potatoes, things like brown rice, things like black beans, things like quinoa. When you're having those things, wait to have those things on days, either on days that you're strength training. So it could be before, it could be after. Either way, science shows that there's varying effects as to whether you have kind of protein before or after and which one's best. You just need to make sure you have protein in your system. But what happens is when you are breaking down your muscles, in order to rebuild those muscles, this thing called mTOR needs to be turned on for muscle protein synthesis to occur. And so mTOR gets turned on by a lot of different things, by protein itself, by the amino acids specifically in protein, especially the BCAAs of leucine, isoleucine, and valine. And those come from the healthy quality proteins that I mentioned before, especially the animal sources. You can't really get those BCAAs from all plant sources. Maybe soybeans, maybe edamame, but mostly going to come from animal sources of protein, those BCAAs are. And so mTOR can get turned on by those, and mTOR also can get turned on by insulin. And so insulin gets turned on when you have carbohydrates. And so it's actually shown where if you can do a combination of a healthy carbohydrate to help spike your insulin a little bit, not excessively, but help spike your insulin a little bit, and then also have these BCAAs, also have these great quality proteins, then that's going to enhance the ability for mTOR to turn on and stimulate muscle protein synthesis. So if you can have your healthy carbs and protein on days that you're doing your heavy strength training, that's going to optimize your muscle growth. So again, guys, 4 steps to build muscle and lose body fat at the same time. Number 1, separate strength training days and cardio days in order to optimize your muscle creation and muscle growth so that you optimize your caloric burn and your metabolic rate at rest, and then do your cardio days so you optimize your fat burn today and a little bit into tomorrow. Step number 2, for your lifting days, definitely have a lower body day, definitely have an upper body day, and include a major lift in those. After that, base it and customize it off of what your goals are. Number 3, protein optimization. Have high quality protein like animal sources of grass-fed beef, pasture-raised organic chicken, pasture-raised eggs, wild-caught salmon, other fatty fish, animal or plant sources, things like quinoa, black beans, lentils, nuts and seeds, edamame. And for quantity standpoint, do your body weight times 0.36, body weight times 0.45, and probably closer to that 0.45 number if you're really trying to build some muscle. And number 4, have your carbs on heavier strength training days, your healthier carbs, to help stimulate muscle growth because it's going to turn on mTOR along with the actual protein itself. I hope this helped today. I hope you wrote down these things, and I hope you're focused on doing these things because I'm probably pretty sure that this, to a certain extent, is your goal, to build muscle and lose body fat at the same time, or at least retain muscle and keep the same level of body fat and not add any more body fat on than you currently had and not lose any muscle than you currently have. So I hope you guys enjoyed today. Make sure you share this episode with a friend or family member who is also having the same goal. Share this with your workout partner who also has this same goal. And if you want to get further into the science or further into specific strategies for you, then make sure you join the 10-week transformation. You can go to nickcarrier.com/10WT to get started today. If you're in Nashville, you can join the next group starting very soon, August 8th. And if you're not in Nashville, then you can start today. Like, you can literally start today. If you're in Nashville, you might have to wait. But if you're not in Nashville, you can get started today at nickcarrier.com/10WT. I will literally ship you 2 different workbooks. One will contain your scoreboard. One will contain your exact workout plan. And then we'll get on a weekly call every single week, and we'll discuss how to set yourself up for success. And we'll discuss how you can follow through with the promises that you make to yourself. So you can get started today at nickcarrier.com/10WT. But I hope the things that you learned today help you get closer to your health and fitness goals, and ultimately help you get closer and closer to your best you.